of the Mount Silver podcast. We don't have a theme song yet. I don't think we even have a direct logo. I've just been, tinkering around in Photoshop myself. But we do have a lot of support from the people.
When I sat down to finish editing So Help Me God last week, like a few hours before I was supposed to post it, we also did not have a theme song. I was like,
that's how we're moving
right
now.
Finish this.
I mean, I can figure out. I can talk to a few people, see if we can get a theme song.
Listen, I listen to some podcasts that don't have a theme. The Dunked On, the basketball podcast I listen to, is like the most minimal podcast ever. They literally just say like, "All right, welcome to the show today. Here we go," and then they start talking. It's epic.
But we're so like, I don't know. I mean, you know what? We'll see what happens.
It's Pokemon.
It's Pokemon. I feel like Pokemon. The music is so. Actually, the music is kind of secondary for me. I don't know if I played the game with the sound on in quite.
It's been a long time because after a while, you start to hear them when you mute it. You can hear the Pokemon Center and the Pokemark, and you can just hear it.
I play the game out in public a lot. I'm on the train. My commute to work is an hour long on the train, or close to an hour long. So usually in that sort of area, I'm playing my DS, I'm playing whatever, and I don't have the sound on because, God forbid, I want to annoy people with the sound of like I'm not those type of. That's a very obnoxious thing to do.
Having sound on. I mean, I don't even have I never even have my phone on ring. So
right.
This thing cannot be making noise.
But yeah, I mean, we're on episode 4. I do want to thank everybody for the continual support. Once again, every episode that I've shared with people have enjoyed it. People are like, "Oh, you should have talked about this one. Oh, I love this Pokemon game for this reason, etc., etc." All A, B, and C, and D. So I want to thank everybody just for the support and people actually listening to this. This is very, very
that's awesome. Considering these games are so old, and like they still have all this meaning to them is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, this has probably been the thing that people have asked me about the most.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird.
Well, yeah, it is. I thought it was like, oh, this is just the three of us like dicking around because we are the only ones who care about it.
But, right, that's what it felt like at first, but that's not the way it is, man.
With this, of course, we're continuing our trek through all the generation of games. You can go back and listen to our first episode, which actually talked about Detective Pikachu, if you want to learn about that. Someone asked me about that the other day, of how I felt about it. I still feel the same way. But it's available on Blu-ray and DVD now, if you want to check that out. Our second episode, we talked about the red, blue, and yellow and green sort of era. Our third episode, we talked about the gold, silver, crystal era of Pokemon, and now we're in a very special territory because not only are we talking about 3 of the games, we're talking about another 2 that came out as well. So it's kind of like essentially 2 different titles for the Gen 3 sort of population, and we're continuing to go through the gens as we lead up to the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which comes out November 15th, I believe. This episode, we're going to talk about Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but we do have a few more Sword and Shield news. The release most recently, the trailer that's dropped. Actually, the trailer was a couple of weeks ago, and they dropped a kind of like another battle addition to it, where they revealed a little bit more considering the first trailer. But Pokemon Sword and Shield, we've got new region exclusive forms, which I guess is now becoming a thing for every region.
I guess they figured, hey, it's a different place in the world, but they're still similar Pokemon.
Let's re-rock old Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little better than just what they had been doing for years and years, which was like just making like a slightly different version of the Pokemon in the new area that you're like, oh, this is the Pidgeotto of this world.
Right.
So at least this one, you're like, oh, this is also Pidgeotto, but like it's pink and purple.
Right.
New stat, or not new stats, but new typing, new moves, whatever, new ability.
They're able to transform the Pokemon. They're able to explain it's a different region, which honestly, I guess biology and environmental and all that other earth science stuff makes sense. Different areas, different climates. Animals react differently. We're not going to see buffaloes in Australia. We're not going to see, starfish anywhere where it's cold. Like it completely makes sense. We're introduced to Galarian Galarian themed Pokemon.
Right.
Galarian Weezing is the first notable thing up to the stage. How do you guys feel about Galarian Weezing or Galarian?
I don't know if it's Galarian and Galarian. I guess we'll figure out when the anime starts. But I think that they do a good job for the most part. Visually, I mean, it's not like the greatest design per se. He does get a new typing.
Poison and Fairy.
Gets the Fairy.
I don't like Fairy typing. I don't think they've gotten it right.
Well, it'll work for him from a competitive standpoint, but like I definitely know what you mean. They re-rocked a lot of the older Pokemon that were clearly fairies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, just to do it for that, and it obviously Fairy was there to debunk a lot of dragon shit that was going on. Dragon shenanigans were going on for way too long.
Yeah, they introduced fairy types to balance the game, but I don't think anyone. I'm personally still not as familiar with fairy types and their weaknesses and things like that as of yet. And they've been out for like 3 generations.
Yeah, Stan, bro, I just learned Dark. Like, I just figured out what is actually okay and not okay with Dark type.
And now you kind of have fairy typing where you have to like kind of understand it. But you know what, fairy, as long as you're like, it's weird because it's weak to things that are not like
fire, poison, steel.
It's like I think it's poison, steel, but they're not like poison and steel aren't types that are like offensively great. True. You're in this weird situation where it's like, okay, I can use this to defend against dragon, but like, is like a Golbat going to kill me one day in my sleep or something?
Yeah, exactly. I just don't like it.
Galarian forms, Galarian Weezing, it has its own sort of bio and its own stat. Would you care for me to read about Galarian Weezing and what it does in this game? It says it emits purified air from the top of its head. Galarian Weezing consumes polluted air and poisonous gases for sustenance. The airs and gases absorbed will have toxins removed and spewed out from the top of its head. Apparently, the air produced through this purification process is very clean.
This is the funniest thing about this is not only does he look like a bong, but that's basically copy in an ad for a bong. Like
ultimately,
you pack it in the smoke that you get out through the ice filtered top is the purest smoke you can get.
They know what they're doing. But I mean, it's this Weezing is literally the opposite of the Weezing that we know. I mean, he's cleaning the atmosphere.
This is climate change Weezing.
Yeah. Ultimately, I mean, ultimately that's what it is. He's getting the shit situated for us.
Oh my god! And then we have, of course, the Zigzagoon line gets a Galarian form. It is now black and white. It is now dark and normal, which is terrible.
Yuck.
It is a terrible typing, but I don't think
I like the way it looks, like Zigzagoon itself, but like I don't know. I don't care for the evolution line, especially the third one.
Well, so Zigzagoon gets the evolution line Galarian form. It evolves into Linoon, and then Obstagoon.
Yeah.
The Obstagoon's too much. Like, it's kind of cool, and I do like the idea that you get like a third form of something that you only get a second form of in another region or whatever. That's cool. But he's too humanoid. I don't love these super humanoid ones, especially when he wasn't that humanoid as Linoon.
It's a crazy evolution. Like it's almost like, damn, this could have easily been a mega because it's so different. Like
it's
they
like
go from
this stage.
Right. It's like you go from this rodent on all fours, and then all of a sudden it's like it gets on legs and has regular arms, and then this weird
he looks like
head.
bloodthirsty.
All right, so the explanation for Galarian Obstagoon, which is the evolution of Linoon, it says the Linoon of the Galar region lives in harsh conditions compared to those found in other regions, with fierce competitions against others of their species. Their survival instincts have been honed as a result, leading to an evolution of Obstagoon. Obstagoon is designed. Its design is pretty much like those like UK punk rock 80s. A lot of it's what's the name?
Kiss.
Kiss. Why am I thinking Sting? Oh my god.
They meant the one name thing, but he's
The tongue,
very Kiss.
it's very Kiss. The tongue, first of all.
The tongue,
The jacket-like fur or whatever it is exactly that it wears. The spikes on it.
Everything
about it.
Glam rock Pokemon.
Yeah, everything about it. So, it's the blocking Pokemon, isn't it?
It is the blocking Pokemon.
I'm assuming that he's going to have very, very high defense, obviously. But it could end up being fairly competitive. But by this trailer, Weezing is definitely, with this new ability that we'll end up talking about, is the more competitive.
They also introduced a few new Pokemon. Morpeko, which is another electric rodent that essentially changes typing every other turn. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Depending on which one is better, I guess.
He's better than the fake Pikachus we're about to talk about.
You're right. Plus a little mining. We got new rivals, Bed and Marnie. And Marnie is accompanied by Team Yell. Very, very interesting. All these other things, they're interesting. All these are sort of like, it's nothing really too major in terms of just like affecting the story too bit. These are just kind of reveals of like, oh, you'll get this in this game. You'll get this in this game. How is this game shaping up for you just in general and how it's looking? I love all the designs thus far, but I don't think I'm fully like, I think I'm more enamored with how this game looks than how this game feels thus far. But then again, we don't know much about it.
I think we're still in that Sun and Moon, debacle of like no gems, no real playthrough. Like as long as we get back to the gem stuff. Apparently they're gonna add a bunch of side missions and all that fun stuff. But visually, I mean, they're doing it. They got this right. They're headed in the right direction per usual. The Pokemon that we've seen so far, it's not ultra exciting. I think they have a very like level off of designs. They've done okay. But
yeah, I would really agree with that.
Right,
like some of the stuff's great, some of those stuff looks really good, but some of them are like, this is a little
exactly. And they may be, deep in the Pokédex. When we get the full Pokédex, there may be some really cool looking shit in here that we were just like, oh, why didn't they show this first? Because this looks amazing. But
yeah, I think they kind of suffer from weird rollouts. Like their initial one is always really good. Their initial trailer or announcement or whatever.
We're excited for it either way.
Yeah, of course. Like this like the third, fourth series of announcements, it's like, so you're announcing like one like region exclusive Pokemon and that's kind of it. Like why am I getting excited about this? The reason I'm excited to play the game, honestly, is just to talk about it on this podcast more than anything else. Like, I would say without this podcast, I wouldn't be nearly as excited for it. Because
I'm excited just from like being able to actually play competitive again, because Let's Go wasn't competitive at all, and Sun and Moon turned me off near the end, so I didn't really get to invest fully. But this is like the first Switch competitive game, so that's probably the only reason I'm really want to get through it and play it. And I hope that there's like what Meelz is if you guys don't know, Meelz is a post-game guy. Like there's got to be post-game for him to properly enjoy this game. So I'm hoping that there really is something there for us, even if it's DLC involved. Like just give us something to elongate the game.
Yeah,
after the Pokemon League and all that,
Yeah, and I just want it to be a little harder. Like that might be a stupid thing to say at this point, but
it's
I really would like it if they were more difficult.
It's not, dude. It's a great thing to say because that is mainly one of their issues. Is just give us a difficulty level or just some type of thing where I don't know, you raise the levels of which you go in, or maybe the trainers are a little bit use more strategy depending on how high you raise it. I don't know, man.
I don't think it would be that hard. I mean, even if you had to level up more, like the most basic raising in difficulty would be like if stuff were just a little stronger. if like the difficulty settings were like, if for everybody it starts on level 1, but like the difficulty of level 2, where like stuff is just, the stuff at the first gym is level 13 instead of level 9, and has just the stats increase from that. Like just stuff like that could make it more challenging.
Yeah, agreed.
I think this game will be a little bit more competitive just based on the sort of thing they've announced this far. They gave Galarian Weezing his ability, which was, previously a mystery. They revealed it a couple of weeks ago. It is completely, what's it called again?
It's called,
it is
something gas.
I'm trying to
neutralizing gas.
Neutralizing gas.
Neutralizing. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. It's honestly, it's such a exciting ability that is meta changing. You're probably going to end up seeing Weezing a lot now, which is interesting because you wouldn't. That is the purpose of ultimately bringing new forms of old Pokemon, trying to make them more interesting. And sometimes it could be a hit or miss. And maybe you don't like the design of this Weezing, but just be prepared because you're going to see it. Like when they do Worlds next year, you're going to see it because the ability is ultimately at this point it's overpowered just from like what it does. Meelz, can you tell them what this thing does, man?
Neutralizing gas suppresses the effect of all abilities of Pokemon in battle. So essentially abilities, which we'll talk about a lot on this podcast because it's a great way that we've introduced this and come across this at the same time because this is the generation that abilities are introduced. It essentially says all the abilities for Pokemon are suppressed, they're negated. If your Pokemon has Levitate, it will be now susceptible to ground attacks. If it has Intimidate, it will not work. If it has any other cool thing that kind of makes it cool, for instance, like for me, I'm a fan of Whimsicott because I love its ability, and it is not strong at all.
Right. It has a great ability.
But now it's just crap. So
right. It depends. It really, like for example, if Slaking makes it, gets in this game, or at some point gets in this game throughout whatever they do, he has an ability that has basically hindered him to be successful in the meta because he can only attack every other turn. But his attack, he has some of the highest attack in the game. Like, now if you pair it in VGC with this Weezing,
it's going to just wreak havoc.
He can just go. Yeah, he could just go and go and go. And it's going to be a lot of fun things that players get to tag along with this Weezing to see if, how it works. And again, breaking the game, that this ability is probably one of the reasons, again, why every Pokemon can't make this game, because pairing it with this Weezing would destroy their meta, just because some abilities are handicaps.
I mean, even taking Levitate away from somebody, or Mimikyu's ability, like that's insane.
Right. Mimikyu, that's a perfect example because Mimikyu also has a very good ability, and you get a free hit on. He gets a free turn ultimately, and that taking it away. Yeah, man, you're really
that disrupts somebody's entire strategy.
Absolutely, hitting a bird type or hitting something that levitates with Earthquake. You're gonna be hurting.
At least hinders it for a while. It's I'm assuming when it's destroyed, its ability is gone.
I'm sure.
But we shall definitely see.
We don't know its stats yet. If it has a similar stats, it'll still have some pretty good special defense. So protect it up, substitute, protect, whatever else it has. I don't know if this thing will carry. I'm sure it'll carry toxic and all that fun shit, but it'll be good.
That is it for our talk on what's going on Sword and Shield thus far. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more information, probably within the next 2 weeks or so. Every month we end up getting a new thing, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I assume in probably the next 2 months we'll actually see the evolutions of the starters, which is very much highly anticipated.
Definitely.
But
it's one of the most significant things in the game.
Yeah, because it really determines what starter you pick, and also if they're terrible or not. Unlike the Gen 3 starters, which are actually pretty good. I mean,
they are.
They're one of the strong points.
Probably the best in the game. Let's see. Let us let us transition into Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. The third generation of this game, the third generation that was released in North America on March 19th, 2003. It comes a few years after Pokemon Gold and Silver, and it actually comes on the Game Boy Advance. Memories of the Game Boy Advance. I did not have one, so
had one. I think it's one of the best things ever released.
Yeah.
I got it I went to Australia with a student group, and I got it in like summer between 6th and 7th grade, and I got the Game Boy Advance about a week before that trip, and I have so many great memories of being in Australia, like playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on the Game Boy Advance for 2 weeks straight. It was I loved the GBA.
I had an SP, and I still have my Advance. I don't know where my SP is, but I had a blue SP, and I loved it. I'm like, at that point.
Let's talk about the SP.
Because
what was the
to me
the backlight?
What was the appeal of the
backlight? The backlight.
Is that
the
what
idea that these things
out.
didn't have backlights already? You like using a worm light, like a thing that like reflected off your screen. It's crazy. Right.
The backlight on the SP really is what it was for me. I mean, ultimately, that's the most important thing about it, and the folding of it is cool. I never mind at that point in time, like.
The folding is a game changer, apparently.
Yeah, well, at that time, because you didn't have cell phone, like I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that at that point. So it was cool. You just fold it up, throw it in your pocket, and keep it pushing. That Advance was it's a weird shape. I mean, I know you guys remember, it's a weird shaped handheld, but it's cool. Like it was awesome. But the SP was just kind of like fold it up, throw it in your pocket, keep it pushing.
The SP made sense because it was like, oh, this is a Game Boy that folds in half. Like it didn't look weird like the Advance did.
It was clean, It had the little Nintendo logo at the bottom when you folded it, and that was it, man.
Along this time, I discovered.
Wait, didn't the SP had charge too?
Yes, it did.
See, that's what it was. There was no batteries on the SP as well.
Ooh, you're right.
Yeah,
definite game changer.
Which now is huge.
Oh
like,
yeah,
the idea that something would require batteries now is, I mean, it wouldn't work.
Along this time, I got into the rise of emulators and ROMs. I discovered emulators, and it was from there on. Because I knew I wasn't going to get. Personally, I'll be honest with you. I get these handheld games for Pokemon. It just is what it is. I don't get it for any other games.
No, totally same.
I may flirt around with a couple games. I may go into GameStop and be like, "Oh, that game's for $20. Okay, let me get Donkey Kong Country for the 8th time." But other than that, I buy these games purely for Pokemon. But around this time, I learned about emulators and ROMs, which you had already known of, Pat. But I was just getting hip to this entire thing, and for the Ruby and Sapphire, it was huge. I've legitimately only played this game on ROMs.
That's crazy. It's amazing, though.
Yeah, that's wild.
I knew like my friends in school would have the Game Boy Advance, would have the Game Boy SP, and I remember the cartridges and how they looked and all this other stuff for Ruby and Sapphire. But I would go home from school, and I was like, turn on my computer, load my save state, and just like continue this game. And it may be one of the reasons why, I don't know, I'm not fully personally attached to this game.
Right.
Because I personally, before Sun and Moon came out, this was the generation I disliked the most. And I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it enhanced my feelings about the game. It was like, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. But ultimately, I still...
Ruby Sapphire had a lot of technical things that I dislike. When we get into HMs and talk about that during this, it's like there's just a lot of things that were so unnecessary.
Were you guys into? I mean, Jeff, have you played an emulator or a ROM? Were you into that?
No, not necessarily. No, not really. Not until I was more of an adult and I was like just finding things online and old stuff like that. But not at that time.
What about you, Pat?
I really never played a ROM to the extent, again, that I did for the fake translation, hardly translated at all, Gold and Silver. Mm-hmm. But because I played that at such a young age and it worked so well, like 6 months before the games actually came out, it basically made me think that you could get a ROM for anything for like the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
even when I didn't have like a PlayStation 2, I was like, oh, let me get like Final Fantasy X on like an emulator on the
Oh my
PC.
God,
And,
you're
like,
insane.
you can't do that. Like, I was just sitting there like, oh yeah, like I dedicate an hour to like, can this work? But like, no,
Yeah.
it can't work. That doesn't happen.
I've looked it up too.
Yeah, so no, the ROMing was done for me after Gold and Silver, unfortunately.
I played ROMs throughout until pretty much the time where they were like, "No, you can't play this game no more on ROMs," which I think ended up being 3DS.
Yeah, that sounds right. I just re-downloaded an emulator probably a month ago, maybe a little longer, for Game Boy Advance to play one of my favorite games ever, Tactics Ogre: Night of the Lotus. Which is like an RTS strategy, or no, it's not an RTS. It's turn-based strategy game, like for like the Ogre Battle series, which is a really old like Super Nintendo like strategy series. So I never beat that game on 100%, and it's one of my favorite games ever. So maybe I'll ROM that to completion.
Pat, I feel like you played Command and Conquer or something. Were you?
I did not play Command and Conquer.
Okay,
There was like kind of two versions of like nerddom, I guess, where I was a kid, which was like you either played Command and Conquer and like read Tom Clancy novels,
right,
or you watched Dragon Ball Z and played Pokemon and Halo.
right.
And I was
you were in that other part.
Staunchly in the latter category.
I hear you.
Emulators and ROMs, to me, I was like a kid in a candy store, because when you see the list of ROMs, you go to the website, whatever, Emu Paradise or all these other websites, and you're like, I'm a kid in a candy store. Kirby, I never anticipated Kirby before, but maybe I'll play that. Or like Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide. Like, I don't have
it's like getting onto Pornhub for the first time.
You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, there's a whole new world out here. So I definitely played like a million other games.
I knew there was a lot, but holy shit.
No, it was a ton. I was like, damn, they made this game? Oh shit. Okay, they made this game? Like, that's where you would learn, like, people would try to because the Japanese games still would come out months before the North American counterpart, but they'd find someone with like a shitty translation for Ruby and Sapphire, and it's like, should I play this? I'll just wait. Whatever. It'll come out. And that is sort of my experience that I had with this game. And actually, it's going to be for the next game, too, until I eventually do get a DS. Let's see. The major issues in the post-Gold Silver Crystal world. Apparently, the only thing... we don't have a lot of major development. We don't get any secret Pokemon or things like that. We have, like... There's, like, secret variations of stuff. There's, like, stuff that looks like things before they look like what it is.
Right.
But the only real thing is, apparently Junichi Masuda was so considered, like, he thought that Pokemon and the franchise was dying because essentially the fad was, or it's not really
it
a
was
fad,
being multiplied. Like the idea of, not the idea, but
it
I guess the feeling was being multiplied.
Yeah, I think so. Essentially,
well, he was worried about like Digimon and stuff, which if you think about now, the stuff he was worried about, it's like,
he was
hilarious.
wrong. He was extremely wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the thing, though. It's like these things were definitely coming into, pop culture as well. Like, the answer to Pokemon was eventually Digimon on Fox. Like, Fox was like, we need our own Pokemon.
Yeah.
First 3 seasons of Digimon were hot.
They were really good.
Really good. Really
and
good.
Honestly, if you
Yu-Gi-Oh was pretty fire too. Now,
yeah, I agree. We were old by the time Yu-Gi-Oh made it over here.
If you reach the time, like, you considered what Pokemon was and what the show was, it was just very like this episodic things happen and were resolved within the same episode. But now you're kind of introduced to these other animes, which is like, oh, these have actual story with actually characters and actual development, and they're not 10 years old anymore, and all these other different things, and the lane that Pokemon was occupying was beginning to fill up. You got to see merchandise wasn't as popular anymore. It was being pulled off the shelves. Pokemon cards weren't as popular. I remember specifically because by the time Yu-Gi-Oh cards came out, I did not remember. I did not play, the Pokemon competitive TCG.
I was running both. I was one of them niggas for sure.
Well, you're
But
still a champion. Come on.
yeah, I am.
You're
I
still
am.
a champion to this day. We'll talk about that later.
Thanks, man.
But yes, Digimon, very, very popular. Yu-Gi-Oh, very, very popular. All kind of occupying the lane of Pokemon. So it's like what started, it ended up becoming like the birth of this entire kind of like generation and genre of like this like kid anime friendly series. And which ended up like selling a lot of things. Yu-Gi-Oh cards sold a lot. Those Digivices sold a lot.
Oh, I love those Digivice. I looked at some on
That shit
eBay
was
not too
awesome.
long ago.
That stuff was good because they got on the market that Pokemon kind of did, but they didn't get on early enough where like you could actually buy a Pokedex. Like
Yeah.
they didn't have enough of shit like that early on because they were the first ones to do it. They didn't know that they needed to make all that stuff or that they
Right.
could sell all that stuff.
That makes sense.
Overall, though, the game was very well received. Junichi Masuda's fears and all, the game was very, very well received. Everyone praised the gameplay, the graphics, the colors, the journey. It sold very, very well and ended up being one of the best-selling games of the year. And actually, it is part of, when you count in Leaf Green, Ruby and Sapphire, Emerald, those are the top-selling games for Game Boy Advance ever.
Yeah.
So it ended up doing pretty. I mean, it's Pokemon at this point.
Yeah, he was wrong, but he was also in the inside looking out. Like we were in it, so like even so, he knows the success. He sees the numbers or whatever, but he also sees everything else that's going on.
I want to know how long it took for him to realize that Pokemon is Pokemon and it's just going to be Pokemoning for the rest of existence.
I would assume after this, because if he had any doubts. And he made it clear that he had a little bit of doubts considering what was going on with Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, and whatever else. At this point, after the success of this game, he was probably like, okay, well, I guess we got this. Like, it's no problem. There was a lane that the lane was starting to be filled, but what they were like, well, nobody's going to do it like this, though. And nobody's going to continue to do it like this. I think the thing that Pokemon was stick to the fucking script. It hasn't been, even when they started to go little off with megas and stuff like that later on, it still felt like Pokemon. It was just a new thing. It wasn't fusions or like let's just thank God we never got that. Like, there was never like a fuse these two Pokemon together to become a new one. I mean, when they did do it, it was a legend. Like it was categorized as something specific, so it wasn't outlandish.
Right. It sold pretty well. It did all pretty well. All this other stuff. Let's talk about the game itself. We get introduced to the Hoenn region.
Hoenn.
I know. Come on.
Come on. You'll laugh out of this. Yeah.
Hoenn region apparently still within the same geography as Johto and Kanto, just in an island or a region or whatever setting, just off the coast of whatever those two are. Essentially, the first four games are Johto, Kanto, Sinnoh, and Hoenn are all generally close to one another, which is why they have kind of like the same Pokemon biology. But once you reach Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, we're in like completely different. We're in completely different areas with different climates and different all types of other stuff.
One thing to know about the Hoenn region is a lot of fucking water.
A lot of water.
A lot of water, guys.
Too much.
Too much.
Like looking at the map, you don't even like realize it. It's like, oh, this looks interesting, and then you realize you're surfing like
everywhere.
Like everywhere. They get to one island of. Actually, you know what? I'll say this with this game. I'll make this declaration as we talk about this game. Not my favorite game. Actually, was before Sun and Moon. This became one of the worst. This was one of my worst experiences playing the game because I just didn't feel anything from it. I thought the villains were kind of chummy. I get this generation. Don't get me wrong; it's very important.
It is
actually one of the
extremely important. Yeah,
critical. It's actually
I mean, between abilities and I guess, abilities
IVs,
and natures like changed.
Natures.
Oh, there was also like 140 added, 130. Like that's a lot of new Pokemon.
Yeah, everything but the actual game itself was like critical.
Yeah, it's very, very critical. But as far as the actual experience of the game to me, oof.
I think what you're talking about stems from kind of like, if I remember this correctly, and again, I have the same feeling about it, but I think like maybe like the fourth to like gyms 4 through 6 in this game were the game was pretty slow. There was a lot of like trudging through like not really forests and not really like mountains, but like crossing a lot of log bridges and stuff in the rain. It was
Right.
just like boring and didn't have a lot of personality.
It did, like, to this day, and it's not that it's particularly like I just couldn't. I remember the names of these cities in the game. I do not remember anything else. The only thing I truly, really remember, which was truly, truly fascinating, is Fort Tree City, because it is tree houses, and I thought that was so cool. That
That was awesome.
that the entire city is like tree houses,
Right.
and all this other stuff. But like Verdant Turf Town, couldn't tell you. Rustboro City, I'm sure it's great.
Pseudopolis, I assume, is dirty.
Sutopolis, yeah, like Pacific Log Town.
Yeah, fuck that log town. I'm telling you that is like the low point of Pokemon.
It's just I couldn't tell you anything that happened in this game, to be honest with you. Just to be real with you, like, and I just played the game 5 years ago because like Omega Ruby.
I didn't like that either, though. So I mean,
I liked Omega Ruby and Alpha.
I wasn't a fan.
I was like, okay, I like this game. I like the mechanics that they brought into this game to make it a lot more interesting than the.
Well, we didn't have to worry about the HM aspect.
No.
That's what made it. I mean, that made it better. You know, the dive and the waterfall and the. Come on now.
Dive sucks. Like, I hate these late game HMs that you use for 10 minutes and then never use again.
Literally a water dig move, man. You know, it's like, come on, why are we doing this?
Let's get to the Professor Birch. Is he the most forgettable professor of the entire?
I don't know. I'm trying to get a picture of this guy. Oh yeah, this guy's goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's being chased by a dog.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember. So here's the thing. Like, I watched the anime. I played the games. I don't remember him at all having any significant impact in the anime nor the game. Like, he never called me. It never bothered me. Never showed up. I'm sure he showed up to congratulate me when I won the league, I think. But like, Professor Birch, I don't remember you. Like, I don't know you. We're the, like, Mariah Carey, I guess. I don't know her. Like, I don't, like, it's very, very, maybe one of the least memorable professors. I don't know if we can rank professors in here, but Oak is definitely the most memorable.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, just like after Oak and then Elm calling you like every 5 minutes in the last game, like Birch isn't cool.
Yeah, Birch isn't cool. I don't think we get a cool one until we get Kukui, which is just cool, young, no shirt.
Right.
I wrestle on the side, fucking professor. Let's see. Let's talk about the starters. Who did everyone pick? You know, we got to go through this. Who did everyone pick? Do you remember who your first starter was?
Absolutely.
I definitely went with Torchic, I think.
I was a Mudkip baby, man. Mudkip was it, man.
I think those two are also far superior.
So here's the thing.
Trico. And I like Trico, but his final run I don't think was good.
Skeptile got really good. He got a really good Mega later on, and that helped a lot. Like, he probably has the best Mega out of all three of them because of the ability. But like, I wasn't picking Trico because, first of all, Torchic, Blaziken is fire.
Blaziken is a great.
All right, like let's just call it what it is. Like, Blaziken is really cool, and also it's like that. This is after this, you know, the ridiculous firefighting. You know, everybody hates the firefighting, which we may get that again, by the way, in Sword and Shield. It looks like
we've got it 3 times thus far. I'm not really surprised if we get it again.
But to me,
Blaziken is the good version of that. Like, all these Pokemon I don't like, Blaziken is actually the good version.
100%. But like that Mudkip, Swampert, Water Ground, man, look.
So here's the thing. Here's the catch-22, the double-edged sword with picking Swampert, though. Considering how many HMs are in this game,
I know,
and how much of them deal with water, now you need to get 2 water types.
Yeah, that was the issue. Absolutely.
So instead of just having Swampert, you'd have to have some, because you're not putting Dive on Swampert. You're not putting whatever other HM.
I hope not, at least.
No, God, no. Please don't put dive on Swampert. You put a surf on there.
Wait, so what? When did the HM Forgetter? When did that come into the series?
I think it's
it
next gen.
I
Is it
think
Gen 4?
it's next gen.
Okay, see that should have been a thing from the get. See, we may have a lot of different conversations about these past games if that was like from the start, like being able to unattach HMs later on, or earlier on in the series.
Absolutely.
You know.
Hold on. I'm actually double checking this. Could you forget HMs? Let's see.
I feel like it was Gen 4, but I really don't remember. Like I just don't remember.
Move deleters, last move they know. Oh. Let's see. It was restriction. Only way for the cat is exploiting the daycare. Yeah. You couldn't delete the move deleters existed, but you couldn't forget.
You couldn't get rid of HMs. It was Gen 4 where they let you get rid of the actual HM.
Yeah, what a terrible fucking
right. But I'm saying like we'd have a lot of different conversations if that was a thing earlier on.
100%.
Because they're still annoying.
I picked Torchic, obviously. I think Sceptile is still pretty cool. I think you can't really go wrong, but you kind of can go wrong.
They're all cool looking though.
Yeah, they're all pretty cool. They have the dual typings, which ended up being a thing, except Sceptile. Sceptile was still only grass.
But did you guys get Ruby or Sapphire?
I think I had Sapphire.
I think I got Ruby.
I did Sapphire.
I think I got Ruby.
Do you Sapphire. Have an opinion on Groudon over Kyogre?
They are both awesome legends.
I think they're both pretty good too.
Yeah, they're really cool to me. Like and plus they have cool stories.
I played both. This was the first one where it's like, okay, exclusive evil person. They both were in each game. Don't get me wrong.
Right. But I'm saying like their actual story was dark.
And it's actually complete. You know what? I actually didn't like there's a lot I didn't like about this game, and then we'll get to the villains though eventually. The starters, okay, so the starters, they were cool. Actually, let's get to the villains now then. Fuck it. Team Aqua and Team Magma. It's the first time we're separating from Team Rocket. Team Aqua and Team Magma, their goals to me were dumb.
They did have dumb purposes, but it was just very evil though.
It was evil, but it wasn't like what are we gaining from this? Like intense rainfall. We want to make sure all the entire Earth is underwater. I'm like, wouldn't you die too?
No, they were prepared, man.
I don't know.
they were prepared. No, I know what you're saying. Like to me, honestly, they could have started this bad boy off with obvious my personal favorite legend who is part of this gen, which is Rayquaza. But like I feel like he's so overpowered, like he's so OP, like bringing him into this with the water and the fire concept, it was just better to just go with Groudon and Kyogre at first.
And then
Rayquaza was fucking crazy when they
man, just amazing.
Team Magma was like, we want to cover the Earth with landmass.
The eco-terrorism of these guys is very
ridiculous.
And the fact they were rivals, as opposed to you having to stop them both, but they also want to stop each other. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. I'm not a fan of them, especially a lot of them, only because the Pokemon that they use, oh my god, the worst. I'm trying to find a Team Magma, Team Aqua trainer.
And the villains have never used particularly enjoyable Pokemon.
No, I think it's just, to me, it didn't make sense. Like, why are you using Poochyena? Like, why are your Team Magma? Use a fire type. I don't know.
Yeah, or like something that could beat me.
Yeah. Like something along those lines.
Like Team Rocket would definitely annoy you with the Zubat for a while, and you'd be like, all right, this is getting annoying. Like Zubat has fainted me a few times just on some regular annoying I hit myself shit, you know.
Okay. I'm trying to find out who are the like executives and or okay, so Team Magma's was Maxie.
Mm-hmm.
Maxie was the head honcho. And Team Aqua was Archie. This is a cool fellow, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. It's just all fucking. I hated them. I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, Magma had like Houndoom and like
So
Mariana at the end.
Maxi at the end ends up having he has Mightyena, he has Crobat, Weezing, Camerupt, and then apparently Groudon at the end. Oh, I'm looking at Oris. Sorry, Camerupt, just Camerupt. Don't worry about Groudon. You didn't have it. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't like the villains of this game. Villains.
So do you think it comes off of Team Rocket's success? It was hard to like multiply that type of energy because Team Rocket was a big deal for a long time.
They should have just kept it as Team Rocket.
Sometimes I think of that too. You know,
I don't mind this because there's a lot of the entire theme of this game has a lot to do with a lot of nature elements and a lot of like, you know, ecosystem sort of elements, even down to like the Pokemon that's there, the weather, the different weathers, like the raining and the sunlight and all this other stuff, the environments, all this other stuff. It has to do a lot with that, so I kind of get it. But still, they kind of like, to me, they weren't the only. And then you had to like trudge through them because you had to go through a lot of battles against these motherfuckers, like a lot. That's what I remember, going through a lot of them.
This was the first generation with dual battles, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So I think this was the first time like you had to put up with even more bullshit from them because of that.
Yeah, double battles was introduced.
Let's talk about actually the home index. We're going to talk about the Pokemon of Gen 3. By all means, a lot of duds, but also a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's some stuff that is just like offensively forgettable, but there's also some really good stuff.
I'm trying to find them right now. Damn. If only Bubblepedia was just like, you know what? Here's a list of all the Pokemon.
It's terrible. Why is it like this?
Yeah, it's like now I have to type in list of Pokemon by national dex number.
You need to be on Cerebi, man.
Cerebi. I know.
Cerebi really got it under control.
You know me. All the wikis. You know me.
I know. I'm just saying, Cerebi really got this shit under control. So see, for me, with this generation, you know, they gave us the birds. It's like I wasn't a fan of Tallow, Wingull. It's like those early Pokemon that they gave us, the Butterfree remake, Zigzagoon, Mariana, and all. Like the game doesn't get interesting with Pokemon until later on. You know, you get Ralts and
Ralts is a crazy Pokemon who I love.
Right.
Well, let's talk about like your like, I don't know, guilty pleasures of this generation. Just Pokemon you just like.
Sableye. We got Sharpedo.
Sharpedo is fire.
Crazy. Okay, yeah, I don't like anybody other than the starters, really, or like I wouldn't have intentionally used anyone other than the starters until Ralts, yeah, and then I really like him. They have like, but then they have like, you know, Slakoth, like this just fake Slowpoke for like 3 more Pokemon. Like it would have been better to just have. Wait, I always thought Oh no, I'm thinking of the Toad guy, the frog that you can get.
Lotad.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like Torkoal didn't evolve, but he had an amazing like design, like the turtle with the volcano coming out in the steam. Didn't evolve though.
Oh, you know who's really hard? Nose Pass. There was somebody had a Nose Pass that was really fucking hard to.
It was in a gym. It
was the first gym leader.
Yeah.
We got the gym leaders pretty soon.
Flygon. We got Flygon out of this.
Love Flygon, but then I think Medicham and Meditite are pretty, like they're duds. Electrike's a dud. Plusle and Minun, just like some of the worst ever.
I'm a fan of. I'll tell you who I'm a fan of in this generation, and the reason why is because they were used a lot more in other generations that I actually liked. I love the 3 starters. I love, for some reason, you know what? I love Ralts. I love Gardevoir. I love that entire sort of thing.
Yeah, very strong.
I didn't get what Ninjask and Shedinja's sort of thing was, but I
I
like.
thought they were cool, but I didn't use them.
No, I would
They're
never use them.
Shenanigans.
If you told me in the beginning what I thought was cool when I got in this game, I definitely pick Aron and Laron and Agron because giant steel
Yeah.
destroying things. I was like, okay, I need this. I need this
How
on
do
my
you guys
team.
feel about Zangoose and Seviper?
Forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like cooler in concept than the actual Pokemon
Exactly.
themselves were. Like, if you're gonna make a Snake Mongoose rivalry, why wasn't it better?
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Also,
Did you guys
same
get
with like,
Feebas to get Melodic? Were you into that?
no, I didn't try to get him because
I tried, and it just wasn't worth it.
and what's up with like Soul Rock and Lunatone? It's like,
oh, those are
Get
terrible.
out of here with
what's the
those.
point? Yeah, it's like, what's the point? And actually, they made a huge mistake.
By
Not
making
even-
them rock.
No, not that, bro. Well, that, but like, I know, right? But how are they not in Sun and Moon with some kind of like something?
An evolution, a
Mega
form.
something. Like you couldn't be smart with this.
Or like you have to have one in your party at a certain point. Like
right? Like how could you not? To me, it was just a waste. And
cast form bullshit. Like the cast form was one of the things where it was like, okay, so this is like you don't really know what's going on with weather in all of these situations. Like it's just stuff that wasn't necessary. And how did Tropius not have another like pre-evolution? How are you going to put like a big Brontosaurus in there and not have anybody else?
The only reason I care about Snorunt is because of the future of Frostlass. So you already know how I feel about that. But Frostlass is in the game, so
in this game we also got Roselia, which I like. I like the design of Roselia. It's smaller than I thought it would be, but I still like the design of Roselia. Sharpedo is someone I'm also a fan of, and Carvanha. Even Carvanha. I'll take Carvanha. Wailord was interesting. It's a whale.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
now he's famous, I feel like, just for being a fucking whale.
Yeah, it's a fucking whale.
I never used Spheal and CeeLo and Walrein, but now, like, looking at the avatars, I'm like, why didn't I use these? They have hilarious mustaches.
Because I don't know, you probably already had 2 water types on your team to fill out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't know that the games have ever, now that we're talking about this, I don't know that they've really ever overcome that, which maybe they don't have to, maybe that's not important.
Right.
But the idea that like it could be, hours of detriment to me to have 2 water types in my party instead of diversifying a little bit.
I think that's one of the reasons the game ends up being so easy sometimes. Like because they like, hey, if you want to go into this game and have 2 water types and 2 fire types and 2 grass, you could do it. You just might be annoyed, but you can do it because the game is easy enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Metagross is just a genre bouncing, defining.
Metagross and Salamence got work on them. Like they've lasted. They've
lasted the test of time.
And the legends have been. I think the legends in this group are very important.
The Reggie trilogy, I don't get.
No, I don't care for them, but we're talking about the Latios, Latias,
those 2,
Rayquaza, Jirachi.
Yeah,
Deoxys was kind of.
People like Deoxys. I like Jirachi way more because he's way cuter. But
so the Reggie, as someone who plays Pokemon Go, in my Discord, the Reggie Rock, Reggie Ice, Reggie Steel, they're we call them the trash can trio because while they're good, they just who cares?
They don't have good designs though. I don't like the designs.
Who cares? Like I don't even care about Regigigas and the next generation. It's just it didn't really matter to me, and there was a very elaborate way to obtain them, which I didn't do.
That was the thing, is if you're gonna make me do like a weird event that is like, I mean, even at the time, because it was like 2004 or whatever, it was like not easy to just like look up how do I do this random thing in the game.
Right.
And if the designs of the Pokemon themselves aren't cool, I'm not going to want to do it.
Latios and Latias to me, those are my hearts.
Oh god, man!
Those are my Latios is my favorite legendary. Period.
They're so beautiful, man. Like,
yeah, they're both cute and cool, which is like really rare for the legendaries.
just a unique design. Like nothing else
their
looks like them.
their typing is very strong and very unique. It's just a lot of this, and then you of course. So we have two sets of trios. You have the one trio up there. Then we have the Groudon, Rayquaza, Kyogre trio, the Weather trio, and then we have two mythical Pokemon in Deoxys and Jirachi. I think this was at this point the most legendaries they've ever introduced at a time until literally the next generation, where we get a shit ton more of legendaries.
Mm-hmm. Should we start calling them? You know what's crazy? Like I never stopped calling them legends.
Well, so there's legendary, and then there's mythical.
I know, but like, bro, everything is mythical now.
Like they're
what qualifies as mythical? Like Jirachi and Deoxys?
So like
Jirachi, pretty much everything after the main set of legendaries, but Mew is considered mythical.
Mew is considered Celebi.
Jirachi.
Yeah, that's what I'd be thinking. Like everybody who is actually an event Pokemon.
Too. Like Darkrai, Shaman, Arceus.
I never got a Shaman.
Shaman was.
I think they gave one eventually.
They did, and I missed it.
I think Genesect is mythical. Hoopa.
Genesect is mythical. Victini. It's just all this stuff.
Though. Like to
even
me,
mythics start to get a little watered down after a while.
I know because to me
there's too many of them.
They're just legends. Like they're legends. You know?
But every region has its own like lore or people who are just like, listen, I saw this one day. It actually represents this, that, and the third, and this is why our region has been built upon this, and our ethics and ideals and all this other stuff. But it's just it is what it is. Jirachi, the stars, Deoxys, space, all other type of sunshine. But you know what? I'd say there's a lot of duds in Gen 3. The good ones, they last, and they last till now. So there are definitely a few strong ones in this bunch that
forgettable things.
But there are a lot of forgettable things. The gym leaders, speaking of forgettable.
I couldn't even tell you.
The gym leaders throughout this entire region. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play a game. No one look up the gym leaders. I'm gonna play with you, Pat and Jeff.
Okay, I'm gonna fail.
Let's look at the gym leaders. I'm gonna say a name, and you tell me what type they used.
Okay.
Roxanne.
Roxanne. I'm gonna say she had rock type.
I'm gonna say she had normal type.
Okay, she had a rock type.
I only went by the name
because her name is Roxanne.
Yeah,
I was hoping that was a fake out.
Dude, that's the only reason I said it. I promise. Only reason I said it.
The second gym of Dewford Town, his name is Brawley.
I remember him though.
Dewford, and his name was Brawley. I was gonna say Water, but if his name's Brawley, he's got to fight.
Yeah, he had fighting.
He had a Makuhita. He was a Makuhita.
Yeah, I remember him.
Makuhita was one of the first Pokemon when I realized, like, oh, they don't change the names for some of these.
Our third one in Mauville City, Watson.
Well,
I know Watson. He's electric.
He's electric. He had actually didn't have a Gen 3 Pokemon until Pokemon Emerald, where they decided to give him Electrike. But
what did he give him originally? What did he have originally?
He had Magnemite, Voltorb, and Magneton.
Ugh. Yuck. He's not even better than Lieutenant Surge.
No, he's so boring and disappointing the first time you saw it.
Yeah, it was. The fourth gym leader was of Laveridge Town, was Flannery.
Well,
see, some of these are giveaways. I mean, fire, right?
Fire type.
She had a fire type. She had.
She had charcoal.
Yeah, she had Slugma, two Slugmas, and a Torkoal.
Slugma. That's right.
And Torkoal. She definitely had Torkoal. Flannery, a lot of, I would say, I'll put quotes over it. A lot of artwork inspired by Flannery is what I'll say. The fifth one, who wouldn't let you challenge him the first time and was your dad.
Yeah, I know this one.
He was the closest gym to you, and then he said, "Come back when you have more gym badges." Is Norman?
That's Norman. He's the normal type. He's the one with the fucking Slickings.
What a lame dad. Did you? All right. So I don't remember battling him. I just remembered he said no, and then you would have to come back later.
Yeah.
How was the battle with him? I don't remember.
He's got 2 Slackings and a Vigoroth.
Yeah.
And was the gym through like a series of?
Yeah, he had like six or 5. There's like a KO room and a like a defense room.
Yeah.
Something like that. And they all have like different type of Pokemon. Like
That's actually not pretty bad, actually.
No, yeah, it wasn't terrible, but I only remember because Slaking is annoying as fuck.
Because I've also thought of a potentially like someone using gyms, and instead of we stick to typing, we stick to like aspects of it, like an attack,
Yeah, that would make
theme gym, or like a special defense theme gym, or Pokemon with major muscles or shit like that, or something like something to just like get away from the typing, just even for Gen. But we saw how that worked out for Sun and Moon. The 6th gym leader, Winona.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What is
flying.
Winona? What town is it?
It is in Fortree City.
Oh yeah, that's flying.
That's flying. She used Swellow, Pelipper, Skarmory, and Altaria.
That's kind of a hard fight.
It's a if you had something that used Ice Beam, you were pretty much solid. But this was the one that introduced Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace was the move, and I was like, "What? Aerial Ace is not."
Aerial Ace is a solid fucking move.
Yeah, but I didn't get the charm of it until later gens. But I was like, "Oh, this thing doesn't miss ever."
Yeah, not missing at 60 is really good.
Aerial Ace. It ends up being a move that is used for the rest of time. And a lot in the anime, actually. The 7th gym, Moss Deep City, Tate and Liza. This one is not so forward. Tate and Liza.
Moss Deep
City.
Is it? Well, if they're twins, do they use the same type?
Yes, they use the same type.
Okay, so is it grass?
It is no. Actually, it is a psychic. They're Tate and Liza. They use Lunatone and Solrock.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's kind of cool, but kind of lame.
Yeah, it's kind of very much lame. Let's see. And we have the final gym, which was Sutopolis City, which had different gym leaders based on whoever it was. We had Wallace. Do you think you can remember Wallace, Pat?
Well, I want to say
he ended up becoming the champion in Emerald.
Oh fuck! I remember this happening, but I don't remember what type he had.
All right, Jeff Wallace. Do you remember Wallace?
Wallace,
Sutopolis City, 8th gym leader.
The last gym leader.
I
should, but
Wallace.
considering
he's the champion of Emerald. Wallace. Sutopolis City.
It's a boy. Oh, he's got to be. No. He had Melodic. He's got ice. Or he had one ice type or 2.
He was the water type gym leader.
Water.
He did have Melodic, Milotic actually, but he also had Love Disc, Celio, Sea King, Whiscash, and Milotic. I'll give you special if you can. Have you either of you played Emerald?
Oh yeah.
8th gym leader Juan of Emerald, because Wallace becomes the champion of the Elite Four. Can you pick Juan's for special bonus points? Can you pick the type that he had in this game?
Juan.
It would be funny if they gave him a different type, but I'm thinking that they did.
Sutopolis Gym.
They changed it?
They changed the gym leader.
Did they change it to fire?
No, it was not fire.
It wasn't ice, right?
It's not ice.
Was it? What did he have? Was it dragon?
No. Do you want to know?
He had a Kingdra, didn't he?
He did have a Kingdra.
So then what?
It's
what
the
was
same
it?
Type. It's water.
Oh, he stayed water. Okay. Fucking Meelz. You got us all thinking. I'm over here like.
He gave us the same. You gave the same stupid badge.
I just remember he had a Kingdra, and I was thinking maybe he switched it up because Kingdra was dragon as well. I couldn't remember. That's crazy.
even more forgettable than the gym leaders. Let me welcome you to the Elite Four of the Hoenn region. Sydney.
I mean, I couldn't. We're getting into
I'm in the weeds here now.
Yeah, dude. Like I couldn't tell you, bro.
Sydney is the dark type trainer of the Hoenn League Elite Four.
What was her best?
His best was.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Sydney.
His best was Absol, level 49.
Okay.
He had dark types. He had Mightyena, Cacturn, Shiftry, Sharpedo, and Absol. The second person in this Elite Four was Phoebe. She was Hawaiian. Ghost type. 2 Dusclops, a Bayonet, 2 Bayonets, and Sableye. Wow.
No Gengar, finally. Oh.
The diversity. Third one was Glacia. I couldn't tell you shit about these people, I tell you that. She had Glalie, Celio, 2 Celios, another Glalie. Wow, this game sucked.
And this was also the Elite Four when it was like you were so low leveled.
No, but here's the thing. It went up to level 50-something, 60-something. But the fact that they're using doubles of each Pokemon
is annoying as hell.
It's very unsettling. Because let's get to... So, you get to Glacia. This is Gen 3. So she's using essentially 2 Celios, 2 Glalies, and the evolution of Celio, which is Walrein. But you eventually get to Omega Ruby and Sapphire, and they're like, oh, never mind. Oh, actually, you know what? They did the same fucking thing. Wow. She uses 2 Glalies, 2 Frostlasses, and a Walrein. This Elite Four sucks. Then we had the final 4 of the Elite Four. His name was Drake. He was this like pirate looking. Not actually. He was like this old.
He's like a sea captain.
Sea captain-y. He commanded dragon types.
Weak lineup for dragons.
Shelgon.
With the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire rematch lineup is insane. I'll say that.
Yes.
The first one is not challenging.
He had an Altaria, a Shelgon, 2 Flygons, and a Salamence in Ruby. I didn't remember. But yes, his rematch lineup in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sire is bad fucking ass. Because it has Altaria, Dragalage, not familiar with the Poison Dragon of Gen 6, but I'm sure
he's trash. He's trash though.
He's poison type, he's gotta be. It's Kingdra, Flygon, Haxorus. Haxorus is badass.
Haxorus that X scissor is deadly.
And Salamence. So you know what? Maybe Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire did something right.
I'm actually excited to replay. I'm gonna have to replay that a little bit when we do that episode.
And then we have the champion Steven. Steven Stone, only person with a last name in this game.
Steven Stone. How'd that happen?
Steven Stone. He doesn't have his thing. What is his typing? I don't think he has a type.
No, it's like light.
He specializes in steel, but also his team consists of mostly not steel. Just as much steel as it is not steel. I'll say that. He leads off with a Skarmory, which could be annoying, unless you have like what, Blaziken.
Yeah. Anything fire.
Then he has Claydol. Claydol is it's a ground type, but has Levitate. I don't really get it, but whatever. Aggron, which has the ability Sturdy. No one-hit KOs on that.
Yeah, you can't knock him out.
That's because he wants to get the earthquake off on you.
Right. Cradilly, whatever. The one that I was still never sure of why.
Yeah, that's just a Pokemon
why it exists.
And of course, Armaldo, Rock and Bug type, had the ability Battle Armor. Armaldo's still not very good. You can kind of just like surf it to death.
It had like a quick moment in Pokemon Go, and then like it was over.
And then his final type is Metagross, which ends up being like the most coolest, destructive, fire. Meteor Mash is cool, Earthquake is cool, Every move that it has is pretty good. You can't go wrong with Metagross, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, he's badass, and he's awesome. And like, it shouldn't work when you're looking at it. You're like, this Pokemon should suck.
Yeah, it should. Like, you should die to a earthquake really, really quick. And some
Metagross is so fucking tanky and so strong. Like, it's just ridiculous.
It's there are so many Pokemon that are fake tanks that when you actually have one that is a good tank, it's amazing.
And then they had the nerve to give it a Mega.
Yeah, it's just because people they were like, "Oh, people really love this Pokemon. We better cash in on this."
Yeah, it's a popular one. Definitely.
It evolves from a Tang at level 45. Yeah. Did you ever get a pseudo legendary where you were patient enough to say? I mean, I'm talking about the Dragonites. I'm talking about the Tyrannotars.
Only Growlithe. Only Growlithe.
I think I got a Dragonite one time.
Did you work for it?
Yeah. Like I got a. You know what I did? I fished for Dratini in Safari Zone.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
That's really how you got to do it.
And that was like, that was
with Growlithe. You wouldn't learn if you decided to evolve it early. You know, you didn't get any moves, so you really had to wait till about 40, 42, 46 after Flamethrower.
The only one I did this for Gen 5 was Haxorus.
What about your Vigavolt? Well, he's not. Well, I mean, I don't. Is he
No. You had to wait till the end of the game to get that. Of course.
Right.
So yes, it was very.
Volcarena took a minute.
Yeah, but
was it worth it? It's not. Yeah, I'm about to say it's not that good though. Well, you know, look. The Volcarena, I get it, but it got Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance was fucking fire.
All right, let's go through the HMs of this generation. I think we've talked about it enough, but we can sort of skew through this. The HMs of this generation: Cut, Fly, Surf, Strength, Flash. Still, Flash is going strong. Flash is going strong in Gen 3.
Yes, so.
It would not become a thing in Gen 4. This is the last we see of Flash.
Yes.
Thank God.
HM06, Rock Smash.
I fucking hate Rock Smash because I don't like the shit that they make HMs and then it's not an HM, and even when it is an HM, it's still
you still need it. Yeah.
Rock Smash I believe it was new to the HM status. I think it was a TM before, and then it became an HM, and it lost out because of that
decision.
I don't know, but Whirlpool was no longer an HM after. Remember Whirlpool?
Yeah, I do.
And it seemed like it would have been used for this game, considering how much water there is.
They saved us, right?
7 was Waterfall, and HM08 was Dive. Dive was really only used to get heart scales and Love Disc. So,
listen. There should not be more than 5 moves that you have to have. Like, the idea that you would have to have more than 4 of your Pokemon know a required move, or that worse, one of them would have to know 2, is insane.
I tried to have a dummy.
Yeah. I did too.
In and out the Pokebox. Like that was kind of like my thing. I was just like, you're going to be the dummy Pokemon for these 8 gems.
And they kind of like got rid of the need to have somebody with Fly with like other fast travel stuff.
Yeah. I agree. Also in this game, contest. Did you ever enter a contest?
No,
I didn't really care about it too much.
Contest.
Just like base, like I cared about bases for like a little bit, and then like I didn't care anymore because there wasn't enough for me to like want to keep doing it. I mean, even decorating it is cool and all, but like I don't know, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me.
Yeah, like think of like. I mean, I think all 3 of us would have been really inclined to fucking deck out a hideout if we could, and it was just not. Like, why would I do that versus playing the actual game? Like, there was no real online contingency at that point. Like, there was no real reason to do any of this stuff.
In 2019, it made it be cool if you could, like, jump in your friend's game and go to his base and battle him there or whatever, trade.
But really, that would even just be, like, a trophy display place, I feel like, in this day and age. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you.
Contests, yuck. It ended up falling into Gen 4 as well. Secret bases, depending on how you hook up your secret bases. The post game, the Battle Frontier. The Battle Frontier replaces the Battle Tower in its location. The Battle Frontier is a special post-league area in Emerald that features several arenas where powerful trainers can battle one another.
Yeah.
the Frontier is owned by this, this kind of sketchy guy named Scott. Um, he resides in a house somewhere between the Battle Dome and the Battle Tower. Either way, there were so many buildings. You had the Battle Factory. I never got to any of these arena people. I never did, because there's only so much you have to win, considering straight a number of times before you can reach these people. And if you lose once, you go back down to the bottom. And
it's not that I enjoy Battle Frontier, but my thing is just play competitive. Just play online at that point. I mean, it's just easier.
I think the high-speed internet wasn't a very popular thing now. They had things.
I know, but like it's just not. It's just another way to just make the game more difficult in the first place. Don't give us a battle situation at the end of the game where there really aren't any stakes, but items or whatever they're going to give you for getting to a certain point.
This was their answer to. This was their answer to, like, oh, remember Kanto in in Gold and Silver? Well, here, factory brains, frontier brains. There are 8 of them. You can get all these 8 symbols. And when you win, nothing happens.
Nothing happens. I mean, that's it.
Nothing really happens. Actually, when you win the Battle Frontier, let me take a look at that. What happens if you win the Battle Frontier?
It was better in Sun. Like that tree stuff in Sun and Moon was better than that shit. At least you got Megastones and shit out of it.
No, you didn't really get anything. You didn't get anything of significance. You got a symbol, silver one or a gold one, but nothing really of significance. Huh. Interesting. New features added to this game. We got abilities.
Yeah.
Abilities is huge. Abilities changed the game and making every Pokemon unique, and also gave them an extra thing in sort of battling. Abilities were introduced in this generation. I believe only 77 were introduced in this first generation, but they've really become like a major thing throughout this entire game. They were expanded.
They're important. Yeah, very important.
They were expanded upon later when you gave them hidden abilities, which are like, hey, you want a third ability? A cooler one?
Now that we know people like these so much.
Yeah, now we know people like these. Let's give you a cooler one. Any abilities that stand out to you that you like? It doesn't have to be in Gen 3. Just any abilities that you like, since this is probably the only time we'll talk about abilities long form.
We talked about this new Weezing stuff for Sword and Shield. Mimikyu's ability is.
I mean, I don't know if Jeff will agree with me, but I seriously think the Mimikyu one is like my favorite one ever. It was the first. I know I should have paid more attention to abilities before that, but like other than like Levitate and stuff, other than the really good ones, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But the Mimikyu one, I was like, oh, okay, holy shit.
Yeah, Disguise is a great ability. And Intimidate, kind of like a stable, pull in and out just to lower your opponent's attack by half at the time. There's some cool abilities out there that, the ones that work with items attached to it. So like, if this Pokemon is poison,
Toxic Heal, baby.
Right.
Toxic Heal, Gliscor.
Hey man, that's a real combo.
That was my go-to. I've beaten many a people with Toxic Heal, Gliscor.
There's some real things out there, but abilities now is obviously a stable. Nature's abilities, those things are super.
Abilities make or break Pokemon at this point.
Yeah, same thing with natures too. There's some Pokemon where if they're not a certain nature, you don't even want it.
No. Yeah. That's what breeding is for, and getting the right nature, or just catching multiple of one Pokemon so you can find that right nature.
Yeah, I mean that was terrible when I ended up just getting one from somebody on Reddit and then breeding it myself. But I always loved Vulpix a lot, and even though the Ice Vulpix and Ninetales weren't actually that strong, I had to have one. But the only one that was worth having was like a Ninetales you could get one of the Moon moves on, but it had to be a certain nature for that. So it was a nightmare.
I ran the Alolan Ninetales for a little bit. It got that it had that move. Meelz, what's that move? Aurora Wall or
Aurora Veil?
Veil. Yeah, that was good. That move is good, dude. That's a good move.
abilities make or break Pokemon at this point. It's a game changer. It's one of the reasons why Gen 3 is so, I guess, important to this entire series. Also, we talked about nature. Nature enhances or, decreases the stats that you have to kind of make the metagame, to balance the metagame a little bit more out so everyone is on the sort of same level with everything.
Right.
A good nature for your Pokemon will make it faster, make it attack stronger, but also might make its like defense a little bit weaker or something along those lines.
It just depends. The Pokemon may not need a boost in special attack because they're a regular, they're an attacker, or they may have a special attack nature, but they don't really have any special attack moves. So you want the right.
Or you're running a fuck. What is it called? One of those things that enhances your special attack, but you can only use one move at a time. I forgot what that.
Oh, like an orb, like a orb.
Was it a life orb?
Life orb. Yeah, life orb.
It
takes a little bit of damage away every time you use a move, but it boosts your special attack.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. But
get that adamant nature plus life orb. Do some damage.
You really start like killing people. But it's a lot of that takes in case. So nature ended up like kind of balancing the entire game, and also gave it a little personality stat. It gave a little Pokemon these personality. Something is timid, something is adamant, something is.
It's a cool thing when like they're still trying to like go with this gimmick of like be friends with your Pokemon, giving it like another actual personality type was good.
Poffins. I didn't talk about Pokeblocks in this, but that was a thing as well.
It didn't last.
EV and IV system were enhanced.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire game. This one is just really so much important for the metagame. This game, it took everything that Gold and Silver and Crystal had and kind of took it to the next level. It's a very, very important gen. It just kind of stinks, to be honest with you. I don't remember Gen 3, or at least Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I don't remember the main stories of the game. I don't remember trudging through this game. I remember there was a mountain with ash on it, and I thought that was weird. Because it was like, it's not snow, it's ash. I was like, ew.
Gross.
And then you had to ride up to a mountain to face other people. I thought that was kind of interesting, but also like, But to me, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, its legacy, it doesn't really have one for me. I didn't want the remake of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire when it came out. I was like, damn, that's trash. Can't we just get like Black 3 or something? I don't know. Or something. I didn't want it. But then I ended up enjoying it, so it's not too bad of a game. But yeah, I don't remember much from this game.
It's weird that like, we're talking about how impactful it was, and it was the most memorable things are still just what it introduced and not the game itself.
Yeah.
And the Pokemon that's there.
It had its purpose.
You remember Metagross, you remember Salamence, you remember Blaziken, you remember the starters, you remember
good legends.
But you honestly, like, people confuse, like, Zigzagoon, wasn't that Generation 2? No, it was Generation 3. We just don't care. Yeah. Let's see. And then we have the final thing. We won't take too long on this one because this podcast is already going very, very long. FireRed and LeafGreen. Did it have to be done? Or did you just appreciate that it being done?
It was more of a, hey, that's love. Thanks.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because it was like, oh, okay, this isn't, I'm not complaining. And it got some of my friends who had stopped playing to return to the game.
Yeah, nice little fun way to put Leaf in there, too. I think that was cute considering, Green was a game. It just, we didn't get it in the States,
Did Green always have the girl?
And back in Japan, no, I don't think so.
Was Green a guy? I don't know.
No, Green is a girl in general.
Green is a girl. Green is a girl in general. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a girl in general. But I think like when Pokemon Green was made, it was just made as a skeleton for Red and Blue. We never got it in North America.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I think I didn't even know it was a thing for years.
Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green. It's once again one of the most successful titles on Game Boy Advance. It came out in North America on September 9, 2004. It's remakes. It's a completely new overhaul of the sort of how it looks, but it's essentially the same freaking game, except with more Pokemon involved. Let's see if there's any sort of gameplay differences. You get a female character, so if you wanted a female character to play with, you got that. Let's see.
That's her. That's Green.
The Sevi Islands were introduced. The new southern region, Sevi Islands, is accessible where Gen 2 Pokemon can be caught. Notably, most of these Pokemon cannot be found in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Also, this first generation, you could not catch all the Pokemon in the game in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. So I don't even know why we're complaining right now. Let's see. Team Rocket had an expanded role in the post game with a new base in the Sevi Islands. So the Sevi Islands is already living up to where it is. They had a daycare. They had to install a daycare somewhere because now daycares are a thing.
You gotta get them Pokemon to have sex with each other.
The Versus Seeker, fun.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the Versus Seeker. That was
Versus Seeker. You battle people again, and again, and again, and again.
It was good that they added it because it made sense, even if it wasn't actually something that like was that cool.
Because you run into old people that you battle, and it's like, so how come you don't play Pokemon no more? Like you don't battle.
Yeah.
Like since I beat you, you just gave up. Like let's battle again. Why not? If I can. I mean, I don't think it was groundbreaking, but it's cool that like, hey, hit me up. We can actually battle again.
Yeah, exactly.
All the new types were introduced now into the game. So now the Magnemite that you encountered before is now electric and steel, and now everything has abilities and genders. Let's see. Do they have anything else? Not really. It's a fun game. It's a really cool game. I like that they did it. I've always wanted to play Red and Blue again, but I really didn't want to play Red and Blue. I'm very. Once new games are introduced, it's very hard for me to go back to old games, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially like considering how easy they've made the games now and how much harder it is and how much more annoying it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's always hard for me to go back. Like I would have loved to play the Pokemon Yellow thing, but then I'm like, yo, Let's Go is out. Like, isn't that Pokemon Yellow? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, yeah. Pokemon Let's Go is Pokemon Yellow.
So it's kind of like, it's very hard for me to go back with it. So to be honest with you, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you mind if they remade FireRed and LeafGreen again?
Yeah, I don't want it. There's no point. I think that's what Let's Go is for. I feel like Let's Go is like, hey, let's put Red and Blue on the Switch and get this shit over with now.
Yeah, for them to remake it, it would have to be like a full.
What if they made a sequel?
So yeah, right. Now that makes sense.
That I'd like.
Like basically, Kanto.
10 years later, Kanto's destroyed by the
Team Rocket's back, Giovanni's back, type shit.
Yeah, right. They're actually blowing shit up now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
No, that would be cool. I'd like that a lot.
But
it's because those are the characters we actually know the most. The other games don't really even have characters compared to the first ones.
Right, 100%. That is it for the third generation games. To be honest with you, I got no more. I think we've covered everything, all the things that we've hated and all the things that we've kind of liked. But ultimately, Gen 3's legacy, it contributed more to everything else more than actually being an enjoyable game. It did its work in terms of it's going to be memorable, but not for it being a great game.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it introduced basically everything that is still significant in the series in terms of play mechanics.
Yes, 100%. If you like this episode, feel free to like, subscribe, share, retweet, all this other stuff. Please continue to share. It's a fun, it's a fun series that we're going through. We thank you guys for the support that we've gotten thus far. I think next month we may be doing more than one of these because of I'm trying to picture it in terms of the schedule of how everything comes out.
Yeah, we're about to get a lot of information on Sword and Shield probably this next month.
Yeah, so we might have to do two based on like getting Gen 4, Gen 5, and then we also have to do Gen 6 and Gen 7 at some point. So we may have to. So you may get another episode sooner than you got this episode. But thank you guys for tuning in, and thanks you guys for sharing. The next episode, of course, will be my favorite generation, one of my favorite generations, Gen 4.
Yeah, Gen 4.
Sinnoh.
So good.
So good. So good.
Diamond and Pearl, not as great. Platinum, much better.
Oh, Platinum, man.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver, the best games that they've ever produced ever in period.
Period.
End of story.
Yeah.
When did Heart Gold and Soul Silver come out? What year?
You're gonna feel really old when you look.
No, I knew about when it was. It was the spring of my junior year of college, and my roommate is who I've mentioned before was one of like of the you two guys, the biggest player of the games I've ever known in my life, and it was great being able to be like, okay, so it's like Thursday, we're not going to do anything this weekend, right? Like we know we're going to just like drink 40 Mountain Dews and play Pokemon. All right, that sounds good, and like that being the plan was great.
Went to GameStop to see how much a used Heart Gold Soul Silver is. $59.99 used.
Christ almighty.
So if you guys want to go get Heart Gold Soul Silver, it is listed used.
Can I buy it digitally?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It does not exist.
That's crazy.
I still have Heart Gold.
Crazy.
When I got a DS, because I had to get one because they stopped, emulators stopped being sustainable. I eventually had to get one, and then I got Heart Gold Soul Silver, and I played a little bit through the game. And then once the game after once Gen 5 came out, I just transferred all my Pokemon over. But this should be a fun generation. I really like this generation. We'll probably be a lot more positive about it than we did in this one. But you know what? Listen to everything on RNC Radio. This one will come out Wednesday. So by the time you hear this, we should have a new episode of So Help Me God.
Yeah.
So Help Me God comes out on Monday, right?
Yeah, that'll be out on Monday. We're doing that, I guess, tonight. And there's a new late fees out that we just put out on The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. Come on, not The Rock. Johnson. We discussed that on the podcast. And the less than stellar career that he actually has.
Coming out, you'll also get RAOP Gaming with Ampavelli. He'll be dropping a new episode also on Monday, so you'll have double the things to listen to. On Tuesday, which is already passed by the time you hear this, it'll be The Lookout, where we have fully done the first season of My Hero Academia. Just a little tidbit. We recorded that right before this, so Jeff and I's voices are going on.
We definitely did.
I got a little break before I got to hop back on here.
For the past 3 hours, we've been going. So that's a fun episode. It's also a fun anime series that is coming back in its 4th season in a little bit. And then, of course, you can always look forward to every Thursday for the time being until the wrestling gods decide to change the shows of the week. The A Show on Thursdays. And then, you know what? We got a special episode of The Perfect Play as well. We did an interview with Reese LaFleur. So
hell yeah.
Incredible.
Awesome.
He's also got his own fucking tea, man.
He got his own matcha tea. Matcha lemonade tea. That is incredible. That is everything that we have to talk about. I will say this, probably end up looking forward to. Oh, and also next episode of The Lookout, it will be all 3 of us. So we'll be covering.
I'm hyped about this.
The first episode of Pokemon, we'll try to do a live watch as well as we can. But yeah, we'll definitely do that as well. So make sure you stay tuned to everything on RNC Radio Live as we continue to get hyped for the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. You see, I'm like petering out.
You got it, man.
But yeah, that is it. This has been the Mount Silver Podcast, episode 4. Stay tuned to episode 5. It'll come up next month. Until then, we are out. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Yeah.